This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Hey guys, Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk right here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. How are you today? My weekly vlog. Guys, this is recorded live. It'll air live, but I won't be able to respond to comments because I'm doing it beforehand. We're going to talk for a few minutes today about Gleyber Torres and the Yankees. Can he be saved? Now I'm not for 1 second saying Gleyber Torres is the entire reason for the Yankees' struggles. But Gleyber Torres is, in a way, the poster boy for the Yankees' troubles. Playing out of position, making mental and physical errors. His offensive production has dropped off. I mean, he's very similar in his trajectory as Gary Sanchez. The Yankees brought him over here to be a second baseman because they didn't think he was good enough to play shortstop. You know, while he was playing second base, his numbers were extraordinary. He was third in the rookie year voting in an all-star in 2018. 24 homers and 77 RBIs and only 430 at-bats. Tremendous. 2019, he's an all-star again. Goes for 38 and 90. And by the way, his OPS in those years was 820 and 871. He's an all-star again. He's actually getting MVP votes. 17th he finished, but he still got MVP votes. Then comes last year. You can give him a pass because it's COVID and training camps were shortened, and I mean, whatever you want to say. But he wasn't getting the job done. Moving the shortstop took a toll on him. He had 3 home runs with 16 RBIs in a shortened season. It was only a 60-game season. He played 42. But he made a boatload of errors, and it's not just the errors, guys. It's the mental errors as well. I mean, look at you. You can't give away outs in the game of baseball. You need guys to make the simple plays. And at shortstop, he wasn't making those. I went to a game on Labor Day, and I watched him boot an easy ground ball. And I don't know how many times I watched him in situations where you need an out, just a routine play, give the teams extra outs, get extra base runners, and it costs the Yankees runs, and it's sometimes important runs that lead to a tie in a game. It happened the other night. They've moved him back to second base, and the same things are happening. Mental errors. He gets an easy ground ball where he's got a tailor-made double play, and he goes to first base. That run eventually scores because you gave them an out they didn't need. And his offensive production this year, again, he's been hurt a little bit. He had COVID. But how long do we give him a pass? 7 home runs and 45 RBIs and 400 at-bats. 455 plate appearances. His OPS is down to 674. I don't know if he can. This gets to be a mental thing. I don't think Gleyber Torres is a bad kid. Now, he's hustled through this, and the other night he compounded all of this by not hustling to first base on a ground ball, and Boone immediately pulled him out of the game. And at least for once in a post-game interview, I could see that Aaron Boone was visibly upset with a player. I don't dislike Gleyber Torres. I think he's a good kid. I think was at least a very good ball player. My concern is he's not going to be able to be saved and be able to rehab his game and be able to play in New York. The fishbowl is just too big. It's eating up a lot of people. You remember what happened to Chuck Knobloch? Great player before he came here. Had a good year with the Yankees when he first came over, but again, the stage, he wasn't the same player. Of course, he's older. Developed a mental block about throwing a ball to first base, ended up playing left field. And I can go back in time. Ed Whitson. Good Major League Baseball pitcher, not Garrett Cole. But he got to the point he couldn't even pitch at home because the fans he pitched so badly. The fans were all over him. A very productive pitcher elsewhere. Steve Kemp, Dave Collins, Steve Trout. I could probably go on and on. Gary Sanchez. Now, I don't think Gary Sanchez can come back and play in New York City. So the Yankees have got to start thinking about this. Yes, they're worried about this year. Now we've got to make room for Gleyber at second base to try to alleviate the shortstop problem. We've got him playing at second base. We've got Gio playing at shortstop part of the time, and DJ LeMahieu playing third base. Probably a better idea than Gleyber playing shortstop, but the problem is his offense isn't even making a room in the lineup for him. I think I'd rather see Tyler Wade in there. And then I'm not playing DJ out of position. I'm not playing Gio out of position. So thinking about this year in short term, sit him down. Sit him down. You don't think Tyler Wade can carry a 670 OPS? I guarantee he can. And it'll give you some exciting plays. He stole third base the other night, which led to the tying run. Wouldn't have happened. They would not have won that game, tied that game, won that game if Tyler Wade hadn't stole third base. The ninth didn't. Yankees have lots of other problems, guys. I'm not trying to blame all of these issues on Gleyber Torres, but I think he is kind of the poster child for what's wrong right now. And my point about this is I don't know if Gleyber Torres can rebound from this in New York. I think he can go somewhere else and still be a big star. Gary Sanchez could go somewhere else and be a big star. Yankees can't worry about that. I know that was their worry with Gary Sanchez. That's why he's still here. They're so afraid to trade him for what they thought wasn't equal value and him starring somewhere else. And they're going to have the same worry this offseason with Gleyber Torres. And I'm telling you guys right now, you can't think that way. You just can't think that way. You either have to decide if he can play here or if he can't. And not worry that if you trade him, he goes back to being the player that he was or better. I mean, it looked for a while like Gleyber was going to, be a superstar in this league. And the last 2 years, he's regressed, not just defensively, but it's affected him offensively. And it's affected him mentally. It just happens. It doesn't mean he's a good guy, a bad guy, and not a good guy. These things are going to happen, and you got to make a decision. And I hope it's not Brian Cashman making the decision. Again, that's a different vlog altogether. But whoever's making these decisions in the offseason, I think you've got to think about getting rid of Gleyber Torres. And now you're not going to get near what you would have got for him 2 years ago. I'm not saying they should have traded him 2 years ago. They probably should have never moved him from his position, and we may not be sitting here today. All hindsight, I know that. It's always 20/20 my hindsight, right? Just like everybody else's. Yankees couldn't have foreseen this happen, but you could foresee that he was not going to be a good major league shortstop, and that was not a smart idea. Nobody could foresee what would happen to his offense. Now the question becomes, you've got to make a decision this winter whether you think he can be saved to play in the city of New York. And if you say no, you can't be worried about what he will do somewhere else. Get what you can get for him. Hopefully I still think you can get somebody to bite and give you some pretty good value. Maybe they can trade him for a starting pitcher. But I don't think he's going to be rehabbed here in the city of New York. I just don't. I mean, we've talked about put him in the outfield. Maybe he'll be our center fielder. But that's more of the same. Until the bat comes around, none of that's even worth discussing. Early in the year when I said this, I've been saying this since the season started, or spring training, I had Yankee fans ripping me. You can rip me now if you want. Put in the comments what you really think. You did in April. Told me I was crazy. Give him a chance. Last year was an aberration. It's been 150. How many games has he played? 154 games he's played. since the beginning of last year. His numbers for those 154 games, guys, 10 home runs and 61 RBIs and an OPS under 6 or under 7. How long are you going to give him? Yankees got to make a decision here, guys. It's not going to be easy. I don't say it is. And I feel bad because I like Gleyber. But I think it's time to move on. Get some decent value if you can. And do not worry about what he's going to do somewhere else. Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk. You have a great weekend. And we will see you on the flip side. Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm wrong. Can't wait to hear. See you later. Bye.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.